you.
Thanks. Sorry, man. All right.
All right, again, thanks for coming. First thing for me, next week we're kicking off the Green Initiative on May 18th from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock at the California History Museum. You've heard me say time and time again, I think we have a chance to be the greenest region in the country and a hub for green technology. We've made a lot of progress in that area in terms of the last decade. We have the #1 green job growth, 83% in terms of growth in our region, which is #1 in the state. We already have over 150 people who've signed up and registered for this initiative. It will commence again in May and conclude at the end of December, and then we will have our targets and goals and everything lined up and shared to reveal come January of 2011. Also on tomorrow, UC Davis is having a roundtable called Economic Prosperity, Energy, and the Environment. And there'll be a host of panelists, and we'll begin to start talking about that shared vision and what we all anticipate for a green regional economy. On Friday, Amgen, we're going to have a presser on Friday as well as a dinner. We're very excited that the Amgen tour will be returning to Sacramento for the 5th time. And again, we expect over 100,000 people to come and attend that particular event. This is good for our economy. This is also May is Bike to Work Month, and there'll be 6,000 cyclists who have pledged to ride over 1 million miles in the month of May. So again, you see this commitment in our region to fitness and cutting down on our carbon footprints. On May 27th, it'll be the last for Arts State meeting, the Arts Initiative. The last meeting will be at Sac State from 5 to 6:30 on May 27th. And some basketball teams swept out last night, so that was interesting. So any other topics?
Mayor, you also doing a ride too on Sunday, Mayor's Ride.
Yeah, I'm doing a community ride on Sunday. I have a nice yellow jersey, but spandex will not be a part of the mayor's outfit on that particular day. Trust me.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the impact of the immigration situation in Arizona and how that's going to impact us here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the law is one. The law is one.
Okay, come on now.
Yeah. Gotta take care of Channel 10. I think I strongly oppose the Arizona law, SB 1070. It's just unbelievable that in this day and age that we're dealing with these type of issues. I think Arizona as a state, at least in the last 20 plus years, in my opinion, has taken steps forward. I think this one is one where that progress came to a screeching halt. But I feel very confident that the opposition that's happening within the state and beyond the state is going to put pressure. I think that law will be challenged and hopefully not enacted. And if that's the case, then I think we'll get to a resolution that I think we all would like to see in a very quick order.
What about supporting the boycott, Sacramento for boycotting Arizona?
So let me speak for me first and then Sacramento, if you don't mind that. So I lived in Arizona when there was a boycott. Again, the Martin Luther King holiday was a holiday, got rescinded, then there was an economic boycott, and as a result, it got put back on the ballot and passed. But only after $300 million were lost in the Super Bowl, not to mention a whole bunch of other opportunities. So for me, I felt very strongly that I felt very strongly that a lot of people clearly oppose this law for all the reasons that have already been mentioned. I think the question is, can this law be challenged in court so it's not enacted by July 27th? If that's the case, I don't think we need an economic boycott. However, if it's not overturned or if that law does take effect on July 27th, then I think we all need to strongly consider what needs to take place in terms of economic boycott.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So in terms of the city of Sacramento, we'll be talking about it amongst ourselves as a city, I believe on May 25th, on May 18th or May 25th, so not tonight, in the next week or two. and we'll be talking about it as a city in terms of what we want to do and what kind of statement that we make. I would venture to say the two things that I know would probably come, let me not say that. The two things that I'd like to think that would come out of that very clearly is number one, that we oppose the immigration law, and then number two, that we would support a comprehensive immigration reform legislation coming out of Washington that's bipartisan in a very quick manner, because if that can happen and the federal government will weigh in, then certainly this issue can be resolved.
The city, Arizona has already been impacted about $90 million. What do you say to the innocent American citizens that are grappling with this situation as well?
Yeah, I think that's why it's a tough situation for everyone. Because what's already happened, I think you asked about economic sanctions or boycott, what's already happened, a host of people are not going to Arizona now, and they're making their statement their own way. And, you know, it's not the legislators, it's not the people that are elected officials that are being impacted by it. Their life goes on. It's the working class and a lot of everyday people that are being impacted. And I think that's why we have to find that balance. If we can challenge this law and get it overturned or rescinded, where it doesn't, you know, take effect, that would be good for all of us by you know, sometime in July. That means that things will get back to business as usual. I think everyone wins in that regard. If not, then there's going to be some sacrifices made by a lot of people, and I think that's where the discussion and the discourse has to really occur. I have talked to, again, the mayor of Phoenix. I've talked to other mayors around the country. I've talked to Latino leaders here, Latino leaders statewide, Latino leaders beyond, and everyone's not in the same position. Some believe that there should be a boycott immediately, and some are like, hey, let's challenge this law, and if we can get this law overturned, then hopefully we won't need to get a boycott for the very reason that you mentioned.
Mayor, is it true that you had initially supported a boycott and then the mayor of Phoenix convinced you to take this more of a wait-and-see approach?
Yeah, I came out, you know, from my gut believing that, you know, because I lived it before, that I felt that, you know, a boycott is something you can consider because it would send a very strong message. I have since been more informed that the law doesn't take effect until July 27th. Let's fight it legally, and if we can win that battle, then there doesn't necessarily need to be a boycott. So I modified my position based on a conversation with the mayor.
But after July 27th, the law does take effect, you would consider supporting some sort of Sacramento boycott?
I would certainly consider supporting a boycott, not just for Sacramento, just in general. I mean, I think you have to send a very strong statement. I mean, if you go back to Arizona, that law that was challenged in terms of rescinded from Martin Luther King, I mean, there was still a balance of time that went on before everyone automatically boycotted. So you got to give yourself a little bit of time to see if you can change things. In terms of the city of Sacramento, we can make strong statements. I have somebody looking right now. I don't think the city of Sacramento is doing a lot of business in Arizona, so we don't have contracts. We don't have a lot of business. So our statement, whatever we make, will be more symbolic than one in terms of having a real economic impact. If you're in a city like Los Angeles, then there's an entirely different relationship probably between you know, Los Angeles and Phoenix.
Have you personally traveled to Arizona since this law was enacted, voted by the legislature there, or do you have any immediate plans to travel there?
So I don't think the law has been enacted, it's been voted on.
Passed by the legislature, that is.
Yeah, no, I haven't been to Arizona since then, and I don't have a plan right now. I would, the mayor and other folks from Arizona are talking about doing something that can bring attention to this situation, and it might be, again, challenging in the courts. I would certainly entertain the possibility of going down there if it could be helpful.
Could you imagine that Sacramento would join the lawsuit, an amicus brief or something along those lines?
Yeah, all those things would have to be looked at because there's a host of cities, especially West Coast cities, that are trying to figure out are we going to sign on in terms of a resolution. The U.S. Conference of Mayors is going to weigh in heavily on that. So there's organizations of mayors both nationally and in the Western United States that are looking at this. But again, I think at the end of the day, I think what's going to happen is, again, if I had to lay it out, number one, you know, the law is what we're opposing. Number two, I think we all believe that our borders should be secured and strong and enforced properly. I think we all believe in, you know, high fences and wide gates. Number three, I think we believe that if we can challenge the law in court and have it not take effect, that we would all win that way. Number four, if there is going to be an economic sanction, do not implement it till after the 27th to see if we can win the ruling in court first. Probably number five would be to make sure that these type of laws don't happen in other states. I mean, I think those are the things that we can do. And then lastly, as I said earlier, there needs to be a strong, you know, comprehensive federal law coming down.